In this tutorial, I'm going to start on the CSS box model. It's a little confusing at first, but what I've done is linked you to a video that really does a good job of explaining it. So if you go into Canvas, you'll see a CSS box model tutorial, which I think is very good. It explains things in good detail. One of the things you need to understand, the box model consists of the margin. This is coming from the outside. The margin, the border, the padding, and then the actual content, which is, of course, the text itself. So you add all of these things together, starting from the left and the right, that gives you the width. For instance, if you have 200 pixels of content, and then you have a 2-pixel left and right border, now you have 204 actual pixels of width. Add a 10 left and right padding in between the border and the content, then you're going to add another 20. Then if you have a left and right margin on the outside of the border, you're going to add another 20. So you would have 10 plus 2 for the border, 10 for the margin, 200 for the content. Then you do the same thing on the right side. You're going to have 10 for the right padding, 2 for the right border, and then 10 for the right margin. You would add all of that up. So it's very important. So if all of a sudden, if you have a set width and now you have left and right padding added and things get out of whack, you're going to have to adjust the width on that. And you'll see that in one of the exercises. So I suggest you read that on page 179 and watch that video. There's a ton of videos out there. This video was made by WC3, the World Wide Web, and it's really very good. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're in live view, and we're going to start on page 180. We are in live view, and what it wants us to do is put a logo, the Getty logo, inside of the header, which is really very easy. So we're going to go to Insert. A gazillion different ways. Remember how to do that. Going to click on Image, or you can actually do it in the Files way in there. So let's click on Image, and let's do it both ways. We want it Nest, and then we're going to pick this here. Okay, that's one way of doing something. You can also just drag it. Let's undo this, and let's just go into Files, go into Images, and we're going to find the Getty logo and drag it. Now, the reason why it's not letting you drag it is because we're in live view. So if we go into Design View, you can, and boom. And eventually it goes in there. Now, if you notice, both of them did the exact same thing. So now we're going to click, make sure I click on the Getty Foundation logo, and in the alternate text, put the Getty. Foundation in there. Don't hit Enter key, just click somewhere else. Let's go back to live, and let's delete this here. I'm going to go into Code View, and I'm going to double click on this to select it, go into Code View, and we're going to delete in here. Now notice what it did here. It put image, gave us the source over here. It added the width, put the Alt key. So let's delete this right here. And again, I'm not telling you how to delete things. Just make sure they get deleted properly. So we're going to delete the placeholder text from the nav element as well. Now notice it's got the nav element here. Let's just Click here, the way it tells us before in one of the other exercises, and we're going to delete it. And then we're going to type about the Getty. Hit the enter key, traveling exhibits, and permanent exhibits. Now notice it doesn't tell us to hit the enter key. And the reason being is we don't want that extra blank line. In the CSS Designer, we're going to use the Add Property to feed a 50 pixel margin from the top. Now notice where it's sitting right over here. There's not much space, although there is some space. We're going to go into CSS Designer. Make sure you clicked on Nav. And we're going to click on Show Set. We're going to click on this. And we're going to do margin top. I really don't like doing it that way, but it tells us to do it. However, I'm going to buck the system, and we're going to put over here. Now notice, make sure that you do not have this checked. Otherwise, it'll put 50 on all of them. And we're going to add this over here. And boom. Notice it moved down over here. Okay, that was number 5. Number 6, we're going to select a section sidebar element. Now notice it's a lot easier. We know section sidebar is right here. I'm going to click over here, down here to select it. We're going to uncheck Show Set, which I've already done. Don't tell anybody because book police may come and get me. With the sidebar selected in here, we uncheck it. In the background image, we're going to define the parchment thing from the parchment PMG from the site image folder, and we're going to insert it. Very easy, and we're going to choose no repeat. So it's really very, very easy. Now this is different than dragging and inserting the image. This is a background image. So text would go over the background image where text would not go over an image. So let's find background, which is right here. And we want to the section over here, sidebar. We can click on current to make sure. Here is our background. And here's our background image. So we just browse to it. And it wants us to do the parchment, which is this. And yes, I know it's not looking like what the book says, but we're going to correct that shortly. We do have live view on, and we need to choose no repeat. What repeat means, if nothing is set, it's going to repeat all the way to the left, all the way to the right, all the way down until it gets to the end of the tag. We don't want repeat, so notice this is repeat, repeat X, which is horizontal, repeat vertical, which is Y, and no repeat. Now, yes, I know it does not look anything different, and that's because the width of the picture is basically the same size as the width of the section, only a little bit shorter. However, it doesn't have what's showing on page 181 and number 8, where you have that little squiggly thing on the bottom. So we are going to fix that over here. And you can read that section over there, although the regular design view makes it easier to see, blah, 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 blah. You can read all that stuff over here. So what we need to do now is we need to center the first background position menu and choose bottom for the second one. So we find background position. That just basically, how do you want it left or right? How do you want it on the top? That's really somewhat easy in here. So here's our background position. And the first one, we're just going to click till we get it. And it wants, on the left one, it wants center. And then the right one, it wants bottom. That means start from the bottom of the image. So now you can see that it takes care of that. And it tells us, you might notice another problem. Based on the content, it says section sidebar element runs directly onto the element edge. In the CSS box metal, padding defines a distance as which content exists from the element edge so you can see the property in there, fix the problem, so no problem. So we're going to do something that's going to create another problem by fixing one problem in here. So, and notice that we have this content for new section sidebar tag is still there. So it wants us to do padding top, right, bottom, and left. Now I'm going to show you a little trick so you don't have to type in 10, 30, 30, 30, because obviously they're not all the same. So let's go to here, and we want the padding. So let's click on this, and then let's just type in 30. And now notice it's going to make 30 for everything. We'll uncheck this, and we'll make this 10. So I only had to do 2 instead of 4. Not sure how much time that actually saved, but boom. So now you notice the padding top, this moved down because the padding puts the space before the actual content itself. And then we have some space here, and we have some space over here as well. Okay, that takes care of that. You can see and you can read number 11. That will do some explanations. Now we have to subtract 60 from the width of the sidebar. And the reason why we have to do that is because we've added left and right padding of 30. So we're going to go to the sidebar, and we're going to change the width from 350 to 290. And that way everything looks nice and neat. That was number 12. Number 13, select this main section, or the main copy. Notice we have it says main copy, so it makes it very easy. Or you can always go down here and select it. Very easy. Then we want to pick the background color swatch, and it's going to be somewhat similar to that. So we will go over here. We have the main copy. We're going to choose background. And what we want is background color. So we'll click the background color, and it gives you this color picker where you can stand there and do all kinds of stuff. Or you can match a color by picking something, right, using the eyedropper. So we're going to take this eyedropper, and we're just going to click anywhere in there. You can see how the color changes. If I go over something brown, it changes brown. It may even do the blue. It does black. So whatever it's over is going to do. So let's just find something subtle. And once we hit the enter key, it will apply it. And there we go. Pretty close match over here. That takes care of number 15. Okay, we're moving the cursor over the medium yellow. We've done number 16. Boom. Now we're going to save everything. And we're going to define some body properties. So we're going to, at the top of the pen, blah, 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 blah. Okay, we're going to, it tells us to create a new body selector. So if we go into menu styles, you look and see there is no body selector over here. Many times you're going to have something that automatically comes with a body, but you can have more than one selector for the same thing. That's okay. So we're going to go back to live view. We're going to choose all, and we're going to create a new selector, and we're just going to type in body. Now, if I had body selected, it would have automatically done it. So let me hit the escape key, and I'll click on body here. Then I'll click on new selector, and saves me of having to type that in, and I'll just get rid of this V. That gives me body. Do it however way you want. So that takes care of that. In the layout properties, we're going to do the set shorthand, which is basically the same way as having everything linked together. So it wants us to do that for the margin property. So here's the set shorthand. Just click in it. and type in 0px, and watch what's going to happen down here. It puts in 0px. Now, yes, it had 0 before, but because it did not have the px after it, it really was considered undefined. You also see that grayed out. So now we're going to review the selector in here, and let's find body, which is right here, and it just says margin 0. That's basically shorthand for margin left, margin right, margin top, and margin bottom. What I'm going to do now here in the body selectors, I'm going to drag that up to the top, and now we have our header. That makes more sense in here. Then our nav was underneath our header. Our sidebar is actually inside the header, so let's move that up there. Actually, I take it back. It's there. Let's put it here, and we'll leave it and adjust it. It's just easier when you find that you need to change something if everything is in the order. The browser does not care what comes first. That takes care of page 184, number 4. Number 5 is we're going to do the same thing to the padding. Only this time, make sure we're in the body. And we're going to click on the link. That's going to give everything. And we're just going to hit 0px, and boom. That takes care of that. So you can see now that's added padding. You could have just typed it as well like that if you wanted to. Tells us to review the new selector code, which we did with the body still selected. We're going to put a background image. This is not anything that I'm going to want you to do on your projects. However, now it's okay to put a background image in, but not underneath the main content. Don't try to understand what I'm talking about right now, but you see a lot of background images that are going to be on the left and the right of the actual web page itself. That's okay. Putting a background on the entire web page usually is very, very, very distracting. So we're going to do it anyway. So number 7 tells us to put the background image of the floor. We're going to cover it, which means fill up as much as it needs to be. And the fix means the background image is not going to scroll. So we're going to be in body. We want the background image. We're going to choose floor. And let's click on OK and see what it looks like. Okay, see how it's tiled here? That's the repeat left and right. So what we're going to do now is we need to do the background size and the background here. So let's find background size is right here. And we're just going to choose cover. And notice that it expanded it to do the whole size, and the background attachment is going to be fixed. And that takes care of that. That means it won't scroll in here. All right, so that takes care of that. These are all explained in number 7. Okay, number 8, in the text options, we're going to, which is the text, which is the little t. And let's choose the text itself. We need to find the font. We need to change the font weight or the font size and the height in there. So it's really very, 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 very easy. So you can see the text over here is all these things over here. This is the color, font family, font style, variant, and I'll go through some of these things at a later date. For right now, let's click on the font family, which is Gotham, Helvetica, and that be this one. For the font size, we're going to choose 14. So we want PX. Make sure you're hitting the enter key. font weight makes it bold, very bold. The bigger, the bolder it gets. That's 300, and the line height is 22. So let's change this to 22 here and see what it does. We don't really have any text in here, specifically in the body, but everything is in the body technically. So unless it's changed inside of another tag, you're going to see it all. Okay, so that takes care of that. We're going to review in the design template, and you can see we have something. Take a look on page 186, and that's pretty much what we have in here. And now I'm not really seeing the colors in here on my screen as pairs to the bark. It does look like it's white, but it's really not. The parchment's there. Let's go in design view just and see what it is. So it's still okay in here. And it looks like, based upon what I'm looking at number 9, I may have missed a padding on the main copy, which is this. So let's go and add it. I'm not going to go through the book to see that, but I'm going to go in there and I'm going to add 10 pixels padding on the very top. So let's just change this to 10, and you'll see that it'll go down a bit. And of course, if I did that on the right element, I would have. I've done it on the body, so you can see that. So now, because I made a mistake, I'll show you a very easy way to fix it. We wanted it on main copy. So we'll go into styles here, and we just put the padding here. I'm going to cut it, and I'm going to go to main body, and I'm just going to put it here. Boom. And now you see that it took care of it. That's it for this video. Our next one is going to be the templates. Remember, we talked about that all of your pages need to be developed from one template. So you're going to set up a template. Then everything that you do will be a page that will come from that template. Your menu system, your look and feel will all be the same. If you add an item in the main template, a menu item, it will reflect in all of the other pages. So we're going to do that video next. Have a great night. Remember that you can always email me with all your questions. I will try to find a way to connect one-on-one with you and look at your screen for any questions that you may have. So have a great night, and see you soon.